Hello, my friends. We are back to talk about our artist Vasily Kandinsky. We're going to talk about abstract art, color mixing, and watercolor. So you watched the Maddie and Dada movie on Vasily Kandinsky on Monday, and we know that he was born in Russia in 1866 and moved to Europe, and he was one of the most famous painters of the 20th century. He's well known for his abstract paintings, and he studied art in Munich in Germany. His paintings started out realistic, and they gradually became more and more abstract. Now, abstract means that they had colors, lines, and shapes. The really cool thing about Kandinsky is that he had something called synesthesia, which means that he heard colors as music in his head. He had a music art connection going on in his head. So when he would paint a color, he would hear a sound in his head. So orange had a sound, blue had a sound, green had a sound. So just like in music, when you hear harmonies, maybe la, 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 and when they all come together, they make a nice sound together. Colors did the same thing for him. So he would put those three colors together and he would hear those sounds come together in his head. Now, if we had la, 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 those may not come together so nicely. So the same thing, maybe that la sound was, a different color of green, and that color of green didn't work with the other two colors. So it really makes Kandinsky a very interesting artist because of his synesthesia, that music and art connection. As you can see, his artwork became more and more basic. We see lots of basic shapes and lines. We see some squares and rectangles, some squiggly lines, some zigzag lines. These are just like the lines that we've been using since the beginning of the year. There's some circles up here. We see red, yellows, and blues. These are the primary colors. That means they are first on the color wheel. Again, more of these lines that we've been using, right? These wiggly lines, squares, triangles, circles. He's making art just like we do. Gradually, his art got more and more simple. So this is what we're going to do today. This is one of Vasily Kandinsky's paintings. So we're going to get started on this today. And we're going to prep our paper and we're going to do a little bit of painting. But with this painting, we have to let each layer dry in between painting, or else the paint blends together and we end up with a whole paper of brown. And that is not going to work for us. So I'm going to show you some tricks today that we can paint so that our paper does not end up a big puddle of mud. So we're going to paint half of it today and half of it next week because this is a 2-week project. Okay, my friends, let's get started. Okay, my friends, we are going to paint today. This is an exciting day. So the first thing that we want to do is make sure that our paint has some water on it. We want our paint to soften up because we actually paint with the water bubble on top of our paints, not the hard paint on the bottom. So we're never digging that paint out. The way I do this is either with a spray bottle where I gently spray the paint to get it going, or I just take my paintbrush. I've got my paintbrush and water here, and I take my paintbrush and I drop some water, a lot of water in each of the cups, and I keep putting it in until I see a nice bubble of water form. Okay. Now, once we get that water bubble on, we need to make sure that we do not pick up our paint tray and tip it because this water is liquid now. Okay, so we want to make sure that we always keep it flat. All right, so now our paint is going to soften up. It's going to get ready for us, sort of cooking away while we get our paper ready. So we need to fold our paper into 8 sections so that we can have our paper look close to Kandinsky's. So we're going to take our paper and we're going to make it go the tall way, which is portrait. We're going to take the bottom 2 corners and fold them up to meet the top 2 corners. So I'm going to put them on top of each other. Then I put my finger in the middle to hold it, and I take my other finger and I draw a line straight down. Now I bring that finger over and I make one come out and the other come out. Okay, that way my paper doesn't slip. I always have a finger holding it down. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. While the paper's folded, we're going to fold that bottom one up. See, I haven't unfolded my paper yet. It's still folded in half. I'm going to fold it one more time. I'm going to take these bottom corners and line them up with the top. If it's not perfectly straight, that is okay. I put one finger in the middle, draw a line straight down with my other finger, and then squish it and squish it. Now I like to give it a really good squish with my finger, the top and bottom. Okay, now we're going to open it up all the way, and we should have 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now my paper is a little wobbly, so what I like to do is fold it backwards a little to make it flat. See how much nicer that lays? Now I'm going to turn my paper sideways, and I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going to pull these bottom 2 corners, the ones that are closest to my body, up to the top. Line them up with those top 2 corners. I'm going to put my finger in the middle to hold it down. Draw a line straight down with my finger, and then draw a line out, and then draw a line out. Now, when I open up my paper, I'm going to flip it over. Works better when it's upside down after you folded it. Now, if your paper tends to flip up at all, just fold it try folding it again the opposite direction. Okay, now I should have 8 sections, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, the thing about paint, and I'm going to grab a little piece of scrap paper here so I can show you, with watercolor. If I were to paint like Vasily Kandinsky, so I draw my blue circle, and then I swish my water, and then I drag my brush, and then I swirl in my paint here. Okay, so we always do that. Swish, drag, swirl. Now if I were to draw my donut around that blue, look what happens. Because we have wet paint next to wet paint, they all just blend together. And if I go swish, drag, swirl, and I put another color around them, look what's happening. So you can see my colors are blending together. I'm not getting those nice clean circles. And what we want are those nice clean circles. So in order to keep it clean, what we have to do is keep the paint from touching each other. So with our paint, I'm going to move my paint over here. And I can have my water cup over here. Now I want my water cup close to my paint. Okay. So what we're going to do is take our brush, swish it in there, swish, drag it on the side once to get the extra water off, but we still want a little water on it. And then we're going to swirl it in our paint. So we'll pick a color. Maybe I want to do purple this time. And we're going to do a dot on the first circle. Okay? Or on the first square. Now we're going to change colors. Swish, drag, swirl. We'll pick another color. Now on this one, we're not going to do a dot. This time we are going to do a donut. And we're going to leave space for that dot. So we're kind of going every other circle. Okay? Now I'm going to go swish, drag, swirl, and I'm going to pick another color, and I'm going to do a donut, or a dot. So you're going dot, donut, dot. I'm going to go swish, drag, swirl, swirling in my blue paint, and I'm going to do a donut. So we have a little pattern happening here, right? Dot, donut, dot, donut. Alright, I'm going to change my colors. Every time we change our paint color, we need to clean our brush in the water. Because otherwise, if we put a dirty brush in our paint, we're going to get those other paints dirty. And then it will all turn brown, and it will be gross. So swish, drag, swirl. Let's get another color. How about yellow? And I'm going to do, because I have a dot there, I'm going to do a donut this time down here. All right, donut. Now I'm going to do swish, drag, swirl, and I'm going to pick another color, maybe red. I'm going to do a dot. Notice that I'm changing my color each time because I want it to, I don't want any two colors to be touching each other. Okay, I'm going to do maybe a purple again. Donut. And then maybe I'll do a red. Oh wait, no, I want a dot here. Maybe I'll do a yellow dot down here. Yellow dot. Okay. Now, we can let this dry and come back to it in a little bit, or we can come back and we can do the next layer. So we're going to skip a layer. Okay. And this is where it gets tricky. We can skip a layer if you want and keep going. So we're going to pretend like there's a donut around our dot, and we're going to do another donut here. Okay, so maybe I'll do orange here. So leave a space. We're going to do another circle right around it. Okay? All right. Now, by leaving that space, that allows the paint to dry. And then when we go in to put our donut afterward, it's going to be nice and dry, and it will not bleed together. So on this one, I'm going to pick maybe blue. And on this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to leave a space for that donut. But we're also going to come all the way out to the edge. So if you painted a donut, come all the way out to the edge. If you painted a dot, you're just going to give it a ring. This sort of reminds me of Mike in Monsters, Inc. Okay, so what do we think is next? I think it is a dot. Donut. Okay, nice circle. Notice that we're only painting with the tip. Swish, drag, swirl. And I'm going to go in now. This time I'm going to do my donut, but then I'm going to paint the background too, the whole box. I know this is tricky, so if you have any problems, give me a shout on Schoology via Messenger or whatever you need. I'm going to pick brown this time. Now I have a donut, so I need to do the background. I'm going to do a donut, and then I need to do the whole background. Watercolor paint is kind of like a party paint. They love to hang out with each other, so you have to let them dry. Alright, we are getting there. Okay, swish, drag, swirl. We're going to give this one a donut. That's not going to work, is it? Let's give this one an orange. Donut, donut, swish, drag, swirl, and we're going to give this one a donut and then paint the background. Okay, notice our pattern continues, right? Every other square. All right, my friends, you're doing great. And last one. Okay, swish, drag, and swirl. So now we are going to put one more. Let's do a blue donut. Nice big donut, a white space around our dot. Okay, so that we have a white space in between each layer of paint. Okay, now we're just going to let this dry and we are done for this week. Remember, each continent, each lesson takes 2 weeks. And I'm going to bring this back to remind you. This is what happens when we put wet paint next to each other. See, after a little bit of time, it has all schmutzed together to become mud. And by putting in that white layer in between and doing our pattern, we're keeping our paint nice and neat rather than this muddy pile like this. Okay, remember this was blue, red, yellow, and now it looks like black and brown. Okay, let this dry. You're going to close up your paint. You're going to hold it flat. Do not tip it because it will spill paint, so keep it flat, or ask your grown-up to put it away, and then we'll clean up our water, and then hang on to this because next week we finish it up. All right, my friends, I will see you on Friday. If you have any questions, send me a little video or a talking message in Schoology, and we'll get together soon. Bring your progress paintings on Friday so that we can look at them. Okay, bye.